This house is a survivor. All the early houses built as early as the 1770s here at Prairie du Chien were of log construction, the various different types, and most of them have been demolished over the years. They were always small homes. They were meant to be permanent, but as property changed hands and times changed, people wanted larger homes. So the majority of them were demolished, and while there used to be, oh heavens, at least a dozen here in the old Fourth Ward, or now St. Ferio Island, there are only 2 left, and so it's worth preserving. The Historical Society went looking for someone who had the experience in log house restoration and ran into Mark Johnson of Artisan Restoration.
I've been doing this kind of work for almost 40 years now. Pretty much work exclusively on log cabins and barns and things that are at least a century old.
When the Historical Society acquired the house, it was in very bad condition.
We started our work yesterday by pressure washing the whole outside of the building and starting to remove some of the bottom logs. All those sill logs that sit on the foundation need to be replaced, and several of the logs above that need to be replaced also. And it was pretty dirty, so the entire cabin is actually kind of a brown color now instead of the, I don't know, almost black color that it was yesterday. Doing some demolition work. The stairway in the inside needs to be removed and put into a new location. We have to take out the entire main floor of the structure and replace it.
The house was built somewhere around 1830. We're not too sure because there aren't any records. And it was originally located along Water Street at the very north end of Water Street. And Jean-Baptiste Coorough built the house, and then it was sold to the Germain de Gauthier family. And they lived in it for probably close to 60 years, 3 generations of the family. And by that time it was just a granddaughter that was living in the house, and the house was surrounded by land owned by Nina Dousman. And she wanted to make her property a nice rectangle, and so she purchased the property from the Gauthier family and sold the house then separately. And so the house was removed from its original location to its location now on 5th Street. And once it was moved, within a couple years, the George Coorough family purchased it. And members of the family lived in the house until the whole relocation project began here in the old 4th Ward. And before the houses were relocated or demolished, they were all surveyed, and it was determined that only a few houses were worth saving, and this house was one of them because it's a French-Canadian type of construction called pièce sur pièce, which is literally pieces on pieces, and it's typical of what all the first homes were here in Prairie du Chien.
We're on our 3rd week this week, the first week of July. And we have filled the basement with gravel because it all was flooded anyway, and it was useless space to anyone. We'll be doing interior chinking and trim around the windows. Right now we're actually doing the first step in the exterior chinking, which is putting a foam backer foam in between the logs, and then we apply our acrylic chinking material to the outside and to the inside.
Well, I've always liked the French-Canadian culture here in Prairie du Chien. A fascinating culture, so completely different from what we are used to, and it was early Prairie du Chien. So I thought, we got to do something about this.
It's been worked on by a number of different people over time, and some of the work has been well done, some of it maybe wasn't, but one of the interesting things was trying to get the floors so they all lined up and were somewhat level on the inside. At a certain point, I think I actually threw the level away and we just started using a bunch of strings to make sure that they were straight and not necessarily level, but we connected the dots and it came out pretty well. Historic preservation work in general is probably the most challenging and rewarding and frustrating work that I've done in my whole career, but it is really rewarding to see that all of the things that we have got available today to make the building last longer is really satisfying.
And so I've totally enjoyed the whole experience, and I hope we can do a lot more programming to introduce people to what was here at one time.